It's much better now, yeah? Alright, now, so we'll just. So, of all the ways I thought that I would start this episode, I thought by. I thought to start it by thanking or by shouting out to us. Shout out to Toya Bubbles, by the way. She, a few days ago, she gave me a handwritten note, shouting out the pod, shouting out the sesh, and saying like a little prayer, hopes and dreams, saying that it would go far. And I think it's the nicest thing I've gotten in a while. I think it's the nicest thing that I've gotten in a while. Apart from all the love and support and that the sesh has gotten. This episode is sponsored by some big dogs. Shout out to them guys. My name is Tuaqa. Or you know me as Tuaqa. And you know this as the sesh. And if you don't know, then you're welcome. This is the first time in 365 days, give or take, that I'm recording another visual sesh. It's been too long. It's been too long. It's been too long. So you might want to pardon the camera shyness, I think. Which is ironic for a photographer. You would think that someone like me would be more adept to handling these things. So, anyways, if you haven't heard it in a long time, Shamalama Ding Dong, I love to sing song. I am covered and guided by my nearest and dear. Shout out to them guys in the stool. There's something that's been on my mind to share, so I'm going to take my time to properly enunciate it. I asked some of the guys to send me something to read on the pod, right? And of all the things that I got, I will in tandem read the rest, but I think this is the one that sort of encapsulate how I feel right now, especially when it comes to the session. You can find this on Medium, by the way. I think I'll put up a link in the description. It is a terrible thing for a sizable fish to be in a small pond. Uploaded on the 26th of March 2025 by Joshua Ryoko. I know him as Akamo. Shout out to you, Akamo. Hello, dearest. Vincent D'Onofrio once said in a post on X, formerly Twitter, pigs can't look up. But I could pick a pig up one night and raise it into the sky and tilt this pig ever so gentle. I can make sure this pig's eyes line up with the stars. Imagine seeing the stars for the first time. I want to be treated that kindly and see the stars for the first time. End of quote. Imagine being a big fish in a small pond. You're king of the pond. When you wave your tail this way, mighty waves crash against the walls of the pond this way. Fry and fingerling alike are crushed, battered and bamboozled in your wake. You have the choicest cuts of fish, plankton, larvae, pupae, and every other thing for eating in the entire pond. You are content to swim only a little distance this way and a little distance that way before you touch the length and breadth of your domain. Who cares about the size or lack thereof of the pond? You are all you are. You have all you need. And you know that this is the height of all you can be. Like Jack at the helm of the Titanic, you can spread pectoral fin far as you desire and scream, I'm king of the world. Now imagine being a sizable fish in a small pond. You're not king of the pond, and you cannot dare to contest for the position because bigger fish have you beat in both brains and brawn. You can only section a small part of the pond for yourself because that is what you can dare to hold on to. Reaching for more might cost you your life, either in a scrap for territory or by the loss of your home. No home means no food, no shelter, which inevitably means death by exposure to the elements. So you become averse to risk. Why want more when you can settle with what you have and trudge along in relative peace? You have a fine piece of hollow rock to sleep beneath. You can get some smaller fry or larvae to eat. Granted, with a bit more work than it may be worth, but you can get enough to get by nonetheless. You don't have to swim across the length and breadth of the pond because what's out there that you should kill yourself for. Why are others killing themselves for it? Over time, your tail fin shrivels, as do your pectorals and your dorsals. They were useless anyway. Your self-serving niche tongue twister. Your self-serving niche serves self well. Akamu, don't kill me now. What needs have you of fins when you barely swim anywhere? Instead, you get better at catching small fry and at hiding under your rock when a bigger fish passes by. Soon, you meet a fish the same size as you who is enthralled by your rock, your ability to catch small fish, or probably just your funny and considerate personality. You start a family with her and in due time begin to perpetuate your lineage. If God wills it, one of your offspring might take big fish genes from you or your wife and become king of the pond or better. Where all hope is forlorn, isn't it? Who cares anyway? You've had a good life being a sizable fish. Count it all joy if your offspring have the same or marginally better. You see, the sizable fish suffered something that neither the big nor small fish suffers. The sizable fish is not big enough to be big or small enough to be small. He is stunted, a fair bit but no more, by a natural circumstance, the size of his body. This causes him to fall into a dangerous trap. Like this, but he put it in bold. The trap of contentment. It's ironic. Sorry, side note. This is something we actually were talking about not too long ago. The trap of contentment. The sizable fish may never have to try too hard in his formative years. He can easily outrun the small fish and on his best day, without training or good sleep, keep tail with the big fish. He might never taste fry that the big fish jostle for, and while he might initially crave it, over time, before the hunger of his intellect or his stomach overcomes him, he gets used to the bland hardtack taste of the small fry he can get without much stress. He might even come to love it, and on days when food is hard to come by, miss it. The sizable fish may never know the true depth or peak of his potential, or care about it. To him, his potential is as much a farce as the dreams he has where he's the biggest fish in the pond and gets the nicest choices of where to stay and what to eat. Wake up and smell the coffee, sizable fish. This guy, who is neither big nor small, soon boxes himself into the corner of acceptance and mediocrity. Ooh. Some of us are created to trudge along, he reasons. He looks upon the small fish furiously outrunning the big fish with pity. Thank God I'm not that guy. When he can manage it, he looks upon the big fish with wistful contemplation. Contemplation. That's crazy. I sometimes wish I was that guy. You would think that reading, reflection, or meditation would help create a better perspective for the sizable fish. You, dearest, would think wrong. When Mr. Not Big Enough to Be King reads about small fish who become kings, he would say, "Damn, I wish I were born a small fish. Perhaps I would have the grit and grind of this guy to become king." When he reads about the big fish, he says, "Damn, I wish I were born a big fish. This king shit would have come easy to me." Mr. Sizable Fish never sees the world as if he is a part of it. Instructions to conquer the world, which he sees in books, are scripts for those who perform in the world he watches go by him. In the end, the actors all go home to a cozy rock and a wife. After all, a man can only sleep in one bed or sleep with one wife at a time. Imagine if one day, like the tweet referenced above, the sizable fish were to have an experience such as seeing the stars for the first time ever. Perhaps he is transferred to a much bigger pond where he suddenly becomes as small a fish as the ones he used to pity. The pond is different. There are 100 times as many things to eat or be eaten by. 1,000 times as many colors. The sun glints off this rock or that, confounding Mr. Sizable Fish with an experience so profound, so psychedelic, he believes he has died and gone to a heaven he did not previously give much stock to. The mere act of swimming from here to there fatigues his fins. To eat, he must employ intellect. To survive, he must employ cunning. He becomes as much an actor as the fish who used to swim by him. Script becomes survival manual. The poor deer is famished. Every day he thinks about swimming to the bottom and letting all air out of his gills. He dreams of the small pond where he wasn't quite king but wasn't pawn either. He dreams and dreams until wonder or hunger again takes him and forces him to back up to swim this way or that. He does this repeatedly and earns his keep, doing only what needs must. This is my favorite part of the whole write up because it's not all completely despondent. However, something begins to happen to him. Every now and then, wanderlust takes him. He swims farther and for longer than he ever has. He eats things that astound his palate physically and intellectually. Soon he realizes that his size was a function of his space. His fins grow bigger, as does his body. His brain is sharper. He is struck by a yearning so foreign, he fears he has been possessed by a spirit unknown to him. Every now and then, when he has accomplished in day-to-day activity what might have regarded previously as his accomplishment of the decade. He muses. It is a terrible thing for a sizable fish to be in a small pond. When he lives in a rock where he doesn't have to tuck his tail to be fully sheltered, he muses. It is a terrible thing for a sizable fish to be in a small pond. When his dreams expand far beyond sizable grasp, he muses. It is a terrible thing for a sizable fish to be in a small pond. I think about the sizable fish often. Robert Greene says there are two kinds of failures. The first never tries because he is afraid or waiting for the perfect time. He never learns from his failure and is destroyed by his timidity. The second is a bold and venturesome spirit. He learns from his failure at the expense of his reputation. Repeated failure toughens his resolve and shows him with absolute certainty how things must be done. The sizable fish is born as one or the other kind of failure. He tends to avoid failure by means of what he is, up until his size begins to count for less than it was worth in the beginning. Then and only then does he become either the timid failure who is content to obtain only what his size and means can offer him, or the venturesome failure who fails upwards until he locks or works into a fortune, not necessarily material, that rests his yearning. I think often that I might be a sizable fish, but I shall dwell upon that at a later time. For now, I wish to say only that the size of the dream determines the size of the fish. I'll read that part again. I wish to say only that the size of the dream determines the size of the fish. The stature of the fish is hardly mutable, especially relative to the dreams of the fish. What joy then that the destiny of the fish is not limited to the size of the vessel within which it comes. I fear I have overdone the soliloquy, but you get the gist, don't know, do you not? I think of the sizable fish often. Oh, to be picked up by a being or a circumstance superior to me and made to encounter, experience, a dimension superior to all that I know and think of. I imagine that is what happened upon the Mount of Transfiguration, Matthew 17, 1 to 9. Without this superior being or thing to introduce encounters, superdimensional or supernorm. Whoa, whoa, hey, calm down, calm down, calm down. I've not seen this one before. Hey. Without this superior being or thing to introduce encounters, superdimensional or supernumerary. Which dictionary did you get that from, cuz? Anyways, to all the wealth of experiences dreamable to Mr. Not Quite Big, he will live all his life in relative mediocrity. Jesus Christ. And all superior to him will see him, sigh upon him, and shake their heads in pity as they say, it is truly a terrible thing for a sizable fish to be in a small pond. Postscript. This was first a shower thought, then an email to my dear friend Miss Riri, KB Baby, and finally a medium. As such, it is not outfitted with the bells and whistles of a ruminated publication. Noticeably, the perspective of the small fish is unheeded. He is referred to throughout as fodder for big fish. This is a thought as farm to table as ever was conceived. Do I beg forgiveness for this unrefinement? Not quite. Instead, I thank you for sharing in this soliloquy. I shall see you on the morrow. With affection, Joshua E. Orioko. That happens to be one of the best articles and most introspective pieces of material I have ever read in my life. And now, welcome to the Sesh Proper. My name is Tuaqa. Ladies and gentlemen, at the last time that we stopped, I was going off on a tangent about how I despise nostalgia and how I have taken time since then to see the error of my ways. But I don't know if you've been following as well as you should have. I mean, sorry to our YouTube audience. This is like a lot, so you might want to catch up on Spotify and Apple and everywhere podcasts are available. I guess. I think it started with Fortify Yourself, then Give Up on Your Dreams and Die. Unironically, the person who guessed the name of the episode is sitting right, is somewhere in space. But yeah. I don't know. I think I've been trying too hard to motivate you people. And I don't think I really care for it anymore. If you ginger yourself, you ginger yourself. But it's jokes. I had a conversation, or I've been having a series of conversations. I do that often. I do that a lot, where I converse with people, right? To try and understand certain things that I don't understand. And I've come to the place where I'm starting to realize that I think I might just be comfortable. I think I might be a sizable fish in a sizable pond. I don't even know the size of the pond itself. Every day that I leave my house and I have the luxury and the blessing to observe certain things from a certain distance, I realize that things are not what they seem, or things are not as they are. You get. When I first read this article, when Akamo sent it to me, or sent it, yeah, I think did he send it to me first or before he posted it? I don't remember. I think he sent it to me first before he posted it. I remember how I remember thinking how synchronous it was, or how important it was for me at the time that it came, because it's very easy to fall into the trap of accomplishment or self-accomplishment, quote unquote, when you are starting to do something worthwhile. It's very easy to fall into that trap of thinking that you've made it and or you've arrived, sort of, right? So I read it and I thought, it's funny how he's every time I talk to people and I tell them, oh, I know a host of sharp thinkers or I know a host of super intellectual people, he's easily like top 10 on that list. Top 10. Ooh, top 10, Tuaqa boy. But he's somewhere on that list of people that I consider to be one of the sharpest people mentally, intellectually that I've ever met or I've ever had the opportunity of speaking with on a consistent basis. Right. So if one of the smartest people that I've ever known is feeling like, I don't want to say mediocre, but yeah, as at the time, that is very interesting. I mean, what hopes is there for me? What hopes is there for other people? You know? Like really, what are we here for on the Zelly? Like, really. So I thought it was interesting. I thought it was very interesting. It is a terrible thing for a sizable fish to be in a small pond. When Chikere and I started speaking, when I started knowing Chikere is one of the people that I have name dropped like 1,000 times on this session. And it's very funny. I'm about to say something he's probably didn't know. The first time he and I ever had a proper conversation was not the first time we had a conversation. I had noticed him pause for like a few weeks up until that moment. So we're in a class and he goes, I can't remember, somebody said something to somebody. And I think I laugh or he laughs. And I remember leaving that class and he goes, dude, don't ever disrespect me like that again. And I'm like, oh, wow. And I laugh because it's funny. The way he checked me, it was just like, yeah, please don't do that. No, not please, it was don't do that ever again. And at that time, he had not started doing martial arts. Right. But he said it with such a force that even till now, and even now that he actually does do martial arts, it's like, do you get? I can see the lines. I can see the, cause and effect. Right. Him checking me to that moment, to him being a brown belt, uh, if you jump the process, it will look like those things don't matter. But to me, it just seems like a perfect bow tie on a nicely wrapped package. Because I could see that happening. Maybe I couldn't see that happening, in the moment, but I could see that happening. Now, him being a brown belt is very important because that means he can fuck up like 80% of regular citizens worldwide. That means he can fuck niggas up, period. But the gap between brown belt to black belt is like the gap between 99 to 100. It is not the same. And it is very important because I've been thinking about this for the longest, right? How you could go from, what was that thing that Will Smith said? You could go from 1 or 0 to 99 and it wouldn't be as difficult as going from 99 to 100. Because now you're playing different games. You're no longer doing binary or whatever. Now you've started entering big numbers because 99 is 99, but 100 is a century. It even has a swaggish name to it. Do you get? 99 is meaningless in the grand scheme of things, but if you're not playing at 100, you're not playing at 100. You can be brown belt all your life, but you will never be black belt if you're not black belt. And it's funny because when you start to operate at that level, and I think I was speaking to Nonya about this, right? is the energy that you've used to start something might not necessarily be the energy that you use to complete it. You always need to have something in the reserve. In fact, it might not even be energy at some point. At some point, it might even be intellect, right? I was reading Ovid's what's the name of that book? I think Ovid's essays or so, right? And it was the book that he got chased out of Rome for. Pause. Sorry. I don't want to messian on this one. I want to be as precise as possible. He wrote Metamorphosis, but yeah, he also wrote Art of Love. Is it Art of Love? Give me a sec. Yeah, it's supposed to be like a 3-book chapter, be a 3-chapter book in his essays, right? And he's talking about mostly what to do when how to get a woman and how to keep her. And I think the last chapter I might be faffing here, but I think the last chapter is what to do after she's gone also. Something along those lines. But it's very important. It was important to me reading that because he's laying down game that I've never read anywhere in my life. And he's going, oh, this is what you do when you're talking to a girl. This is what you do when you're talking to a young girl, someone who's on your age and someone who's older than you, and he's saying, okay, you do this, you approach it. And he's laying down game like you've never seen. Side note, he got exiled because of that book. Side note, very important side note. And he's talking about that. And then the chapter ends and you're like, okay, boom. So you're expecting him to take a certain approach with the next chapter. And he goes on a complete, different, he's like, yo, now that you've gotten the girl, forget everything you know. Forget everything I taught you. I think that's how that chapter starts. Like, now that you've gotten and I'm paraphrasing, now that you've gotten the girl, forget everything you know. And I think that's very important for going from 99 to 100. For going from brown belt to a black belt, from going from being a sizable fish to a big fish. I look at me saying it like I know anything that I'm talking about, but really, you get, theory is always easier than practical regardless. And you know what's also funny? I'm going to come back to this, but once you've escaped the brown belt fatigue, you now enter black belt. Then there's first down black belt, second down black belt, third down black belt. In jiu-jitsu, there are like 8 or 9 levels of black belt. 10. There are 10 stages of being a black belt. 10 stages. It's basically you'll be a black belt all your life. But you're a black belt. It's just now you're just playing at different games. But like the gap to go from brown belt to black belt is insane. So when I was reading up on jiu-jitsu, it was you become a black belt. Then I think before you do like the exams or the grading to become a second level black belt, it's like you have to do like 2 years gap or so or something like that. Then for second level to third level is like maybe a 3 or a 4-year gap. But the higher you go, the more the gap increases because, or at least to the best of my understanding, is no longer about the ching chong anymore. It's no longer about was that racist? I hope that wasn't racist. It's no longer about just throwing blow anymore. Now they're expecting you to understand certain things about life that transcend throwing punch. Because they expect that even at a blue belt self, it's nothing to be breaking brick and to be breaking wood. That one is casual. But now you're dealing with high level, like you're no more dealing with, all that. It is very interesting. We just further solidifies the fact that like you're no longer playing casual games anymore. And I think that that's very important. I feel like the transcendental experience that Akam was talking about, a lot of us had it in Heartbreak. And I'll explain that. I was having a conversation with somebody about the Sharingan in Naruto. Yes, Naruto. Right. Naruto over One Piece. No be lie. I was telling, it was, as at the time we were watching Naruto, I think it was me, James, Ard. Sorry, I'm name dropping all these people. Don't worry, you'll come to know them as time goes on. The way I understood, the understanding God gave me of that Sharingan thing is like, for the people who don't know, the Sharingan is a visual power in Naruto for a certain clan, a certain bloodline where something will happen to you. It will affect your eyes. Your eyes become like super powered. So you can read moves ahead of time, almost like you're seeing the future. But it helps you to predict much faster. Right? And there are even stages of the Sharingan. But anyways, that is what the Sharingan is. Now, there's a part in Naruto where they explain how you get the Sharingan. For you to get the Sharingan, you need to experience a heartbreak on such a high level that it feels like you've died. You need to experience heartbreak on such a high level that it feels like you've died. Something traumatic has to happen to you for you to feel like you've died. And that was so pertinent to me. That was so important to me because, like, you watch it, you see it happen, and it's like women. Sorry, I'm using so many like analogies, but it's like when a woman gets her heart broken for the first time and then she becomes jaded and then she becomes quote unquote wise, or I think this happens to anybody really. You become more paranoid, you become less trusting, less open. And so you start to put more filters on your heart, you start more filters on your mind. And so you watch, you're not easily as trusting. Do you get? So you're like, oh, and then before anything happens, you're like, I've seen that before. I've seen that before. I've seen that before. So I think that was a good like alliteration that Kishimoto used for Naruto for the Sharingan, right? So you are reading moves ahead of time and you are seeing the difference. Yeah, I swear I lost my train of thought with the Naruto thing. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, but like it's not like it now becomes like it stops being about that. It now becomes an analogy. But when you want to scale up, it becomes that transcendental where it's like that's the nexus for a lot of people. For a lot of people, it's emotional heartbreak. For a lot of people, it's psychedelic. For a lot of people, it's spiritual in a religious context. That is what moves a lot of people from zero to like, let's say, I don't want to say 0 to 100, but it's what lets them realize the level that they are operating on. For me, I can't count. There were too many. It could have been the year that, and I say this to a lot of people. It could have been the year where I was with Ezekiel, where EEF during COVID. We were doing outreach. We were doing this outreach for people who didn't get their palliatives, and so we're talking to widows and out of school children and basically people who didn't get their palliatives right. And I experienced high levels of poverty for the first time, and I mean like high levels, like textbook levels. Like you get like I don't want to speak too much on it. There's that. There could be me going to Lekki for like a year and taking pictures of those houses and seeing how other people lived. People that quote unquote guide, people that have money, or at least have the money that other people are looking for. A lot of people are looking for, myself included, to a certain extent. Okay, we're in houses that were like 750 million, houses that were like a billion, and da 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 da. It could have been that experience. But what I'm trying to let you understand is that a lot of people's experience usually comes when they're least expecting it, but it comes. Do you get? And then it's to tie it back to what Akamo said. It's the pigs. It's like pigs looking at the night sky. It's very interesting to me. It's very 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 interesting to me. But it does happen, and then you start to realize the level that you're operating at, whether it's 20, 30s, 55, 70, and then you now start to struggle. You start to strive because striving is important regardless of where you are. And if there's one thing that I even want to unequivocally eliminate in your mind, it is the fact that rich people don't struggle. I know I've had this conversation with Chikere before where I don't think you would pray to have problems that money can't solve, because money cannot solve everything. But then again, when you now exist in the realm of problems that money cannot solve, then you know that you are well and truly fucked. That is now where you now start looking for, your answers. Do you get? But you will have to strive regardless. And so you get to 99. And what happens at 99? You realize that for you to get to 100, you're playing much different games. It's like Yu Hakusho. Wow, I'm name dropping so much anime. I think that's Spirit Detective, right? I think they even did like a live action version on Netflix, right? And it's like the tournament arc, right? Where he had done all this training and everything, and he started to face one of the villains, and they were like, "Yeah, fuck off. For everything is pointless. It's not even stupid. It's a waste of time, because now you're battling things that you're battling powers and principalities. So it's no longer like. So I don't know. What am I saying inherently? I have zero idea. And if you've been a fan of the pod for like the longest, you should know that I have zero idea. But I think it is pertinent that you do realize that you're operating on some level. And I like the fact that I can put the fact that, some of the goals might not be material. And I think, in fact, I think everything that's important in this life is non-material. I'm going to say that again. Everything in life that is important is not material. Everything that is material, quote unquote, is a manifestation of all the things that are supposedly immaterial, but equally important. Equally important. Like Chikere can fuck niggas up. Oh. Like he can fight Chinese very well. Like 2 or 3 stars. Like how many stars of Chinese can you fight? Like 2 or 3 stars of Chinese you can fight. Sorry, Japan. My nigga, they all eat Indomie. I don't want all of them eat noodles, man. Don't stress me. But like they will tell you, like you have they will tell you, even when they are fighting they will tell you that all the blow and kick is not really as important. That it is mastery over self that is important. You'll be like, oh, it not concern me. I came here to learn how to fight. They're telling me that, and you're like, no, you need to learn how to master your energy. I'm like, bro, that one did not concern me. But if you don't master yourself, you will do drills that are so hard, you'll be vomiting air. You want to vomit, but nothing's coming out. The last time that I went on a run, I think I did 6K. 6 kilometer run, Tuaqa. And I remember like when I had gotten to like 2 kilometers, right? I remember thinking or feeling to myself that like I just like in this moment, I feel more alive than I have in weeks or months. Like I feel more active, more charged up than I feel. But they'll tell you, oh, it's just a run. You're just going for a run. I don't know. There's so many levels to this thing. There's so many levels to it. Oh, it's just a run. But that was the first time I feel like I could. That's the first time I could say I felt free. I could think clearly, and I feel like the amount of decisions that I made after that moment were much. I think it was much easier for me to make better decisions after that. Right. I try not to have a closed-minded opinion about certain things. I'll give you guys a hint. In I think as at last year, I think it was last year. Wow, that was last year. On my on my high school group chat, alumni, something, something. We're talking about how to celebrate like a milestone since we left school, right? And it's very important that I say this for myself because I had to do like a lot of checks and balancing for my common sense. A lot of people there had been a lot of back and forth, a lot of planning, a lot of preparation. How are we going to mark this milestone? How are we going to celebrate this? Da, 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 da. And I know this is something that a lot of people can, attest to, a lot of people can speak on because a lot of people are marking that. I think Auntie Emi just shout out to you. I think Auntie Emi just did for command. They just did like a whole thing. It was even in the news, I think. Shout out to them guys. It was really lovely to see. So we were trying to do something, equally as memorable to mark the event. And I remember thinking to myself the first time that I started seeing the messages like, there are too many people talking. That was my initial problem. And I don't want to make this seem like an I thing. So I'm just going to lay it out as it happened from my perspective, anyways, unfortunately. We've had a tradition of organizing reunions where certain people handle it and certain people do certain things and it takes success and it kicks off. It happens basically, right? So I spoke to my people like, yo, Alpha, I heard you guys want to do so and so. What's the vibe? And I think it was a red flag for me, where Shun was like, oh no, I don't know anything about it. And I remember how much that confused me because I'm like, why? You are, if not anything, our chief organizer. Anytime we have an event, we come to you. The last time we had like a proper thing and it was really proper. I know that regardless of your whatever role you played a significant part in it. So why are you telling me da 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 da? Da? And she's like, oh no, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what them guys are saying. I'm like, okay, that's a problem for me. And I want you to know that that's a problem for me. So I'm reaching out to all the other people who make certain aspects work, and they're all telling me the same thing that they don't know about it. So that's already very problematic for me. So I'm asking who is in charge, and she's like, oh, these people are in charge. I'm like, okay. I have zero issues with these people personally. I mean, we all went to the same school, come on. But like, it was like, are these people as versed as you are in handling an event of this magnitude? And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's watch it play out. Safe to say it didn't happen. Now, I would hate to blame the parties involved, right? But my problem with it at the time was we have a blueprint. We have a way of doing things, of where we get the result we desire. Why are we not doing that? And I remember being on the phone with, let me name drop one of my big boys, with Colonel Yakini. Hey, he's in the Navy, he's a colonel. Abi? He's a colonel or a captain. I shall know. He shall get him out. And he was like, your approach to this thing was very bad. I'm like, what do you mean? He said, it feels like you are blaming them for the failure of this thing. I'm like, why won't I blame them? You've eliminated everybody that routinely has made this thing a success. And this is something that we do regardless every year. We link up at Sean's place, the guys come through, They bring this, they bring that. Everybody has a swell time. Boom, it's till the next year. And this is something that happens back to back, right? So I have a problem with the fact that, like now that we're supposed to be doing, something mega. Like, why is it now that like is flopping so hard? And everybody's like pointing fingers. Oh, the organizing community is like, okay, we didn't get support from you guys. We guys are like, you people were talking rubbish. You get. So it was like a very he said, she said type thing, right? I mean, I'm very calm playing when it comes to playing devil's advocate because I genuinely, honestly, God have mercy, I don't respect the opinions of a lot of people. So when they throw darts at me, it's like it falls off because I really do not care. I'll entertain it for entertainment's sake, but I really could give a fuck, right? So certain messages were coming through, and I remember Mubarak texting me like, "Yo, why would you allow them guys to talk to you like that?" I'm like, "Cause I don't see it. You're one of the few people whose opinions I respect, so I will respond to you, but I'm not going to be like chatting with them guys. Like, anyways, I'm going off." But I remember speaking to one of my OGs, and he was like, "Your approach was very bad because yes, you should applaud the fact that they want to do something new in a new way, but you are so married to the idea of technique that you've forgotten that you're dealing with human beings, and human beings are more important than whatever the fuck it is that you're trying to organize because you are inherently organizing it for human beings. You're not organizing it for yourself or for whatever system you keep." Because I was like, "Oh, we have a system." I was like, "Yeah, nigga, fuck your system." It is people that want to do a party for people, and it's people that are organizing the thing for people. So all the smell that you are so, And I remember how much that gagged me. Pause. Oh, ooh, gagged. Ooh, whoa, really comes. But I remember how much that like struck me. Right now, as a side note, I'm not saying those guys didn't plan rubbish. I love them, but they did rubbish. But it made me take a backseat as to how judgmental I'd been up until that moment. Because I mean, you can't knock down anybody that is attempting to try anything, period. Period. The mere conceptualizing of the mere ideation is a struggle. To sit down to come up with an idea is such a struggle. And as a creative, I know that more than anything. I mean, I'm in a room full of creatives. We already know how just to sit down and say, okay, let's come up with a concept is difficult because you're trying not to be a dickhead and do something somebody else has done. Or even if you want to copy like a genius, it's like, I beg, I beg, I beg, I beg. It's stressful. And then, all the mechanics of putting that into place and then bringing an idea to birth to life. And then just to have Tuaqa shit on it for 2 hours. Oh, I shat on their idea for hours. It was crazy. If I remember correctly, I remember going this group chat to say like, "Oh wow, thank you for all you've done, but everything you've done is rubbish. Start over." I remember those were the exact words I used. I mean, I apologize for them, but I don't apologize for them because I just thought it was funny how like other people now started to I know human beings were very crazy. Sorry, I think I should take that back. Human beings were very funny because it was up until I spoke those particular words. That's when some people now felt comfortable to say certain things. But my issue was, if you man had felt this way from jump, then why didn't you just point it out? In Nigeria, we have this very funny habit. There was a time I was driving, right? I was going to get some stuff in Nigeria, and I was using the map because it was late and I didn't have time to be used. I was too tired. And so the map took me to this like street. Everybody could see me drive down the street. They all could see me because the demarcation happened towards the end of the street. Right. And it's one of those slim ones. So I'm just driving down. They all knew that I was going straight because, that is the only way to go on that road. None of them told me, bro, you are going the wrong way. That road is closed off. None of them, man, until I hit both. And they was like, but that, no. Oh, man, it killed me, man. It was crazy. But that, no. But that, sorry. I was like, bro, Jesus Christ, I'm so traumatized. And then it began to rain, and then there's mud, and it was a hassle. But I remember, like, if I wasn't a Christian, bro, those people, they go, yeah, I'm that deal, man. Oh my God. We have this habit of watching people fail, knowing we could adjust them, just setting them right, knowing we could, what's that thing that Akamudi said, you could raise the eyes of the pigs to the sky. Like, I've come to realize that it would be satanic, truly satanic, to know that you held the keys to somebody's transcendental experience and not, offering the help that you did. Because that was what ultimately my OG said. He said, if you knew better, and you know you knew better, why didn't you tell them, man, to do better in a way that you know that they will listen? Because I know you know how to make them listen. And it took me aback, and I realized that it was actually because I had beef with some of those guys, not because my heart was pure. Do you get? Like I feel like, and I'm speaking as I'm speaking from the perspective of the outsider, of the one who lifts the pig, basically. Right? It's very in Nigeria we have this habit, and I hate to keep saying in Nigeria, in Nigeria, in Nigeria, but in our society we have this habit. We do this thing where it's like soccer is like a Plato's allegory of the cave, right? And I think I've said this before on the podcast. Which episode, Seth? I can't remember, but Plato's allegory of the cave. I'll try to do a quick rundown. Is like he's talking about the what did they call it? The whole thing about enlightenment. Some people are in a cave, they are chained, there's a fire, there's this, there's that, blah, blah, blah. And that, eventually somebody escapes the cave and sees the world for what it is and sees the sun and sunlight for the first time. And then he's trying to go back into the cave to tell people that, like, yo, there's like a whole vibe, the kinikon, but they don't believe him. They kill him because they're like, the cave is all we've known. The darkness is all we've known. And even if we get enlightenment, all the light we get is from the fire behind us, basically. So it's like Plato's allegory of the cave. We do this thing where if we call it updates in Nigeria. People like to hide updates in Nigeria on every level. And that update is really what is important. It's really not about money. It's why our boys will give you money before they give you updates, quote unquote. I don't know what a Yahoo boy is. But allegedly is what they will do. They will give you money before they give you update. What's that thing? Give a man a fish, he'll learn how to fish 1 million years. Give a man a something. We like to do that because we understand how important that transcendental experience is. Period. Ooh, that was a mouthful. We understand what it means when you could potentially help somebody, and that help you would offer them would set them so apart from you that it would seem like their rise was astronomical. It would place them in the stratosphere immediately. So we are afraid of that. We are afraid that helping somebody will be at our own detriment. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. And I don't think it's something that we do consciously. I think it's very subconscious. It's very subconscious. But then again, it cannot come, most experiences, the experience that will change your life cannot come from within. It usually comes from without. Or at least it's like the law of inertia. Objects at rest will be at rest until acted upon by an external force. I can't believe I said that in one straight line, knowing that I failed physics like mad. Did I fail physics? Did I say I bombed physics? I think I failed physics. I don't know. Science student OFO. But yeah, there was a lot of that. But that is what it is. I think that is what the article is about. Enlightenment can only come from without, quote unquote. Transfiguration has to come from an external body. It has to come from a higher source, a higher spirit, a higher power. If you do believe in that. If you don't believe in higher power, that is your own concern, actually. You can believe in lower power. You can believe in any power. That's your business. But if you believe that everything that is around you is supernatural, then you're as natural as they come. And I don't think that's what you want to become. Because systems are natural. I was having a conversation with Trisha one time. Shout out to Trisha. I don't shout out like 2,000 people for this pod, but that's the way it goes. And we're talking about how, like, what you see is not always what you get. I mean, it is what you get, if that's what you are looking for. My own understanding of the Bible came from Kung Fu Panda. When he became the dragon warrior and Shifu finally gave him the scroll, and he opened the scroll and it was blank. It was like a mirror. Because what you see is what you get, but not really. It was his own reflection. And that made me understand a lot of things. Because it's like, if you are looking for information, especially in the Bible, in fact, in the Bible, whatever inspiration, whatever understanding you get from it is completely dependent on your own level of spiritual growth. I believe that's correct. So if you are looking for a storybook, it is storybook you will get. If you are looking for something that is counterproductive, that is what you like. It's very interesting to me. It's such a mystery because the Bible doesn't force you to understand it. There's no, like, there's really no. I feel like that's where oh my god, I don't want to sob, so I won't. But I feel like that's where it differs from a lot of other, like, faiths. There's no force. There's no. If you're looking for historical record, it's there for you. If you're looking for this part is not correct. This part is not correct. If you're looking for what's the word? what's that thing where something does not agree with it? Where it's contradiction. If you're looking for contradiction, you'll find it. How can the Bible say this but also say this? Is there? If you're looking for poetry that you used to toast your babe, Song of Solomon is there for you. I think it's very important. I think it's such a mystery. I think it's very important. I think it's very important. I've had conversations with certain people that 2 years later, I'm still like, oh wow, that's what he meant. Wow, that's what he said. And then you start to read like nuance into it. Human communication is so funny in that regard because you could be over the phone. Like you could have a conversation. No, my brother told me this a long time ago. A long time ago. He said, I'm going to call her. I said, why? She can lie to me in text, but she can't lie to me over the phone. And if she can lie to me over the phone, she cannot lie to me in person. I was like, wow. It bust my head. It really go far. Because if you lie. Like it's layers of communication. It's also like layers of truth. You get? Because it's like if you're a small fish in this regard, in this, okay, let's say a texting now. Texting is a small fish in a big pond, right? You understand that there's so much above you that you can't. This is a crazy analogy anyway. There's so much above you that you can't even begin to like, it's almost circumspective. And then it goes higher. And then it comes to a case where it comes to a situation where it goes a little bit higher. And it's like it's conversations, it's phone conversation. And you're no longer a small fish anymore. You're a sizable fish. Because now you think you've understood fully the dynamics in the communication, in the correspondence. And then it comes to like, I don't want to use video call because that's a little bit, recent. I mean, there are people that are listening to this that are not as old as video calling. So, yeah, that happens. But I feel like the 99 to 100 is, in-person communication. I don't know if that should make sense. It's in-person communication. Because now it's holistic. 100 is holistic. I think that's a perfect way to tie this episode or to tie it in. I think 100 is ultimately holistic. I think 100 is completion. 100 is difficult. I don't know if Noyan remembers that conversation where I was telling him it requires not just a different level of energy, but you have to be you that is trying to achieve that thing or trying to transcend. You have to be different. You have to be something else. You know what? I'm going to close off this episode by reading something that James sent to me. Shout out to Semaj. And I don't know, he's very funny because he only writes when he wants to use his own powers for evil. I think it's very funny. It's like a lot of people that I know in that regard. They only write, not less. Anyways. Ooh, wow. He sent me a bunch of stuff. Wow. Okay, so I'll read them as it comes. You glean whatever inspiration you want from it, anyways. This is by Emmanuel Prince James. I'm still searching for the grace I buried all those years ago, beneath my childhood home. My parents carved our names across their hearts, so we'd know that home was actually a person willing to bleed for you. While you wait for courage, you miss out on a life that needed only to be lived with unsteady hands. That's one. I'm about to read another one. The intensity to which the stars carve out yet another part of my soul is often sudden, but yet always expected. Some say it's destiny. Others will claim that I made it so. Unwilling to yield to all opinions, I am aware that destiny often meets one on the path they took to avoid it. Will I yield once again to a power that is beyond me? Or will I seek out the salvation that truth often brings? At the juncture that I find my fate, my ego and pride do not seek retribution, for they have seen one too many fates torn apart by choosing this path. What I seek is an otherwise quiet ending to something that I could not protect despite my desires to do so. I think that's perfect. I think that ties it all together. So, ladies and gentlemen, song of the week. Song of the week is I don't know, I have a few. I mean, I think I'll just put the link to the playlist, but I think I'll name like my top 5. New Era by Jamie and New House Pharaohs. I think I was even playing that on the way here. HMP. Sorry, House of Pharaohs, HOP. Jamie, that's JME, Skepta's brother. Skepta's younger brother. But I'm surprised a lot of people don't know that Jamie is Skepta's younger brother. The River by Offset. On the River. Why do I keep forgetting this one? On the River by Offset. Swing My Way by Offset. Bodies by Offset and JID. I've been listening to a lot of Offset. Yeah, there's a song at the back of my head. I think it's a Gunna song. Gunna just dropped a new album, so I don't know. That's there. Yeah, that's songs. Those are songs of the albums of the week. JID, God Does Like Ugly. I listened to that and it's an album. It's best enjoyed as an album. Book of the week. Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power for some strange reason. For some very strange reason. I was as surprised as you are. It wouldn't be my first recommendation. But my second recommendation is Soldiers of Fortune by Max Siolon. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. That is a book about the tumultuous military history of Nigeria, all the coups and counter coups up until, the final handing over to democracy, to the democratic government, basically. Series of the week is Arrested Development. Because I believe a lot of women have arrested development. We'll come back to that. What else? Where are we? So that's book, movie, series, album. Yeah, shout out to our sponsors, by the way. Shout out to BUY. Shout out to Ray was supposed to have us decked out in our merch, but he had a surgery, so I don't understand. All my Sesh people just they go hospital. God will give you people healing in Jesus' name. So yeah, I guess that's it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been real. Shamalama ding dong. Shalom.